mix and match. Now, I literally need to apologise because what I've done is while I was trying to whittle out who had shared the screen voice note out of the Discord, I've ended up by accident kicking loads of people out of the chit chat for some reason by accident. So if anyone messages the mods, and I think, Sophie, you've got the power to sort it out, haven't you? Could you do that for me? I think I know who it is now. So I have sent them a message just saying, I know you've done it, you might as well say why. So I think I've had a message of someone which I said to message you, and I know Sarah Lou, what I've done is I've kicked her out of the folder. Oh, Miss Arrow, what was your don't tell me now, but message Sophie what your username was, because what I did was this morning I panicked because I thought everyone wasn't being safe in there. So everyone I didn't recognise your names, I kicked everyone out. But what I've done is just kicked them out of the chit chat, and now I think I know who it is. So honestly, it's all good. But I just panicked because I just wanted to keep everyone safe in there. But I didn't know it was you, Miss Sarah, because I've never would have kicked you out. I just kicked out the people that I didn't recognise the username from the screen recording on TikTok, if you get what I mean, or when they didn't match up. Oh, Jamie, I feel shit about it because I feel like the Discord wasn't safe yesterday. I'm not bothered about the voice note being leaked because I didn't say anything I didn't say on live yesterday myself. Thanks, Han. Thank you, Fisher FYP. Chantal, I kicked you out. Did you not have Chantal as your name? Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Just message the mods. I'll let you back in, honestly. Any new people? Okay, Sash, that's absolutely fine. I understand that. Sarah, I literally have kicked you out of chit chat by accident, but I haven't chucked out the whole Discord. The mods will put it right tonight. I just need everyone. Is that your real account, or is that a different Misty? Yeah, Observer. At the moment, it's just one for subs, which I thought would keep it safe, and that's not happened. But I do know who's done it. Oh, Jess, I'm so sorry. I did say to the mods, I said, what I'm going to do is kick people out, and then if people come back to me and they're going, oh, by the way, my screen was this, then I can let them back in. Okay, Misty, it's just someone, was it earlier I saw someone said hello to me in a room, and I just ignored them because I thought, I don't even know who you are, and I'm just in a mood today. But it might have been you. Yeah, Jess, sorry, just message either Soph or Kiki or Holly, or they'll let you straight back in. I was just panicking this morning. I just wanted to keep it safe, so if I didn't recognise people... I'm good. I've literally had a really firm word for myself this evening, and you know what? I feel good about what I do on here. I feel good about my community. I'm just going to get back to business. I'm going to get back on making videos tomorrow. Sal, have I kicked you as well? I'm so sorry, Sal. I didn't recognise your username. Just message the group. Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm literally just going back to thinking to myself, the people who are talking about me are people I don't follow because I don't find them credible. So it doesn't really matter anymore. So we can do our own lives. We're going to get back on doing video content tomorrow. And now I'm fine, Han. I feel really good today, actually. I feel really chilled. I've had really loads of good news coming in from all different places. I'm not going to put it out right now because people try and ruin it for me on the app, but things are going well. My dreams are coming true and things are going good. Yeah. Anne-Marie, I feel like a weight's off my shoulders today. I feel good. Thank you, guys. Yesterday it was hard, but I need to remember, like, I have the best community on here. I have the best, most empathetic, strongest people, and none of you are ever going to believe that shit about me. So I just feel good today. Nothing's happened today, Purpose Adventures. It's just can you tell us about your recovery story? I will at some stage, not today. Today I'm going to talk about women on death row. Hey, Erica. Thank you, G. Thank you for the roses, Gerard. Hey, trying to feed it. Hong Kong Fooey, I like that name. Yeah, I'm not going to anymore. I literally panicked because I've built up such a good reputation on here, and I literally am proud of what I do. I've stayed away from all the other big creators, and I've literally just done my own thing. And then the last couple of days I lost my head, like, oh, people don't like me, people think this about me, people think that about me. And I've literally just started getting a little bit stressed. But every single person who I love, oh, did you, Han? That's amazing. Every single person I love on the app, and that not one person's turned against me. I haven't, people have just been amazing, really, and I've got to be really grateful for that. Oh, thank you, Peacock Lady. That's amazing to say. Thank you, Hong Kong Fooey. yeah, I've been blocking all day today, and what I've been doing is I've been going in lives really sneakily and just watching. I'm going really quickly and hopefully no one sees me. And every single person I see being horrible, I've just block. And just whittle out all the crap. Oh, did you, Gillian? Yeah, she's been blocked for a week, I think. Hey, sweetie, thank you. Oh, thank you, guys. But I'm going to finish this little bit for coffee. We're going to do we're going to talk about some really, really brutal cases tonight. We're going to start with Aileen Wuornos, which I promised to do, and then I'm going to do 3 other women on death row. Or am I doing 2 other? I'm doing Pauline Man. 2 other? Oh, look. I was going to do a case that I thought in the end, there's just not enough information to do that case. It just felt, even after I did my notes, I was like, there's so much missing here, I can't do it. 3 I think I'm going to do. Only 1 is a serial killer and the rest are completely different cases because I didn't want to. So the cases I'm doing, Jamie, are America. What I'm going to do is tomorrow, I thought it'd be quite interesting. I don't know if people will be interested in it, because I was going to ask before I did it. I was going to do some UK cases of historical cases about people who'd been put to death. So I don't know if people want to do that. I found a really interesting case of 2 women put to death in London. And also there's a really interesting case about the last men ever to be put to death in England and kind of the legal ramifications. One of them had an IQ of like a child. Thank you, Miss Sarah. So I just thought we could then do some cases that have come out of the UK, which obviously have formed the history of our legal system. So even though we're doing death row, I thought we'd break it up, like women on death row tonight. My wife bored me to death. I'm what was I going to say? That wasn't the same. I was going to say I'm a black belt in the kitchen. I can kill any man with 1 chop. So that's what we'll do tomorrow. And then we'll... It's all right, Debs. I thought you'd logged out because you were doing something. I thought you said you were at a match or something. Your breakfast death thing. I thought my joke was better. But no one laughed, actually. Yes, Liv. And I'm going to do some more serial killers towards the end of the week. Helen Higginbottom. Have I done that case before? Thank you so much, guys, for all the heart me's. We're at 35,000 taps already. We haven't even started talking yet. That's amazing. All the heart me's are amazing. All the bracelets, all the other gifts, it's amazing. If you don't mind, Debs, just because it just stops all the breaking up all the time. I tried not to have Sophie in the box yesterday just to see how it went, and it obviously didn't go well, and I didn't know why. I never see any other creator live with someone else in their box. I don't know. Decline. Debs, can you do that again? Because someone tried to request at the same time. Stop requesting me. I said no. Sorry. I'm like, having such a good day, but I'm full of rage. Hey, Adele. Thank you for the gifts, guys. Yeah, Debs, can you do it again? Because someone literally, as I went to press on it, they... Was that the respawner one? Was that the respawner one? There we go. Yeah, I don't know why. I've got really good Wi-Fi now I'm here. And I don't understand why I need someone in the box to keep my connection safe. Because I don't see any other creators having to do that. I suppose a lot of them have all boxes anyway. And then I suppose other people who are battling that, it doesn't matter if you break up every now and again, I guess. Thank you, guys. I feel like I can't stop being really loud. No, Miss Baguette, I've only just come on. She's going to be the first case. No, I'm using proper Wi-Fi. I'm on Virgin. I'm a born again one as well. Do I have multiple? I do actually, Lamash. I have, I've got 900 children. They've all got about 20 devices. No, not too many. Tegan's out. So Taylor's on her Switch. Tori's asleep. And it's only me here. I'm only using this. So sometimes having 3 kids feels like you've got 900. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you, Stacey. Hey, look, Liz. Hey, Carol. Thank you. Thanks, Stacey. Oh. Right, I will start in a second. Oh, guys, thank you so much. I don't know, I normally have really good Wi-Fi here. Like, I never notice bad Wi-Fi in the day, unless I'm in that bit corner of the kitchen bit when I'm cooking and I put my tablet over there. Thanks, Brain Jazz. Thanks, Lisa. But I don't know. Can anyone update me while I'm here? Has there been an update on King Louis? So the last update I heard was that he was talking and he was like, okay, but I haven't heard anything since. Thank you guys for all the heart me's. Has he been live? Has anyone spoke to him? Is he in recovery? Like, can anyone tell me anything? Because I literally just, the last couple of days have been mad and I keep meaning to go and check his page. I just haven't got around to it. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. That was the last update. Okay. So we just got to keep hoping for the best. If you didn't know, Michelle, King Louis got his new heart. Oh, Helen, thank you for subscribing. If you message one of the mods, they'll give you the thing. YouTube pay songs. What does that mean? Oh, guys, thank you. He's doing okay. That's absolutely great news. Oh, we've reached 1,600 heart me's in our team. That's amazing, guys. Thank you. It means more to me than ever this week. All this stuff going on. You didn't know, Michelle? Yeah, he got told very quickly the other day, I believe it was like 3 days ago, that he had a new heart and he went straight in for the operation. And the last I heard, he had opened his eyes and he was talking and he was doing good, which is just amazing. I don't want to cry when I talk about it, but I think that's such amazing news. And do you know what I think is really sad? With all these exposure lives and all the stuff going on, that includes and involved me, that it hasn't been celebrated more, King Louis, because that is amazing news. The live he did before that, just a video he did just to say he wasn't feeling great. He looked so poorly. And I was thinking, oh my God, like, I hope he's okay. That's amazing. Let's flood the chat with just blue hearts for Louis quickly before we get started, because I think it's so amazing. He should be mentioned on every single... Yeah, 100% Roxy Rowley. That's what these lives should be about. Believe it or not, Louis is one of the people I've seen with the most trolls in his comments. People were horrific to him. Like, why are you on live then? Why are you live from the hospital? Why are you trying to get sympathy gifts? Oh, it's not that bad. It just all these different things. And I thought, how can you go against a boy who is quite clearly stuck in hospital all the time, just looking for a bit of social kind of like communication? And he was trying to talk about the donors as well and how much it can save people's lives and stuff. How can people hate on that? But this is what this app's about. Thank you, guys. We love King Louis. Exactly, Mouse, is so important. Yeah. Oh, honey, you're back. Welcome back, my honey. Let's say everyone in life you have to go and work with him. Oh, I'm not sure about that. You are. I'm glad you're back, honey. EQ called him a bag. Oh, God. Did you really? It's the other creators sending their supporters to troll. Who would do that, though? Who would do that? The day that someone came in here and said, you need to go meet Louis, and I'm like, let's get off live. Let's all go over and gift Louis. We just went over there and gave him loads of support. I just can't imagine anyone being any different. Have any of you registered with DKMS charity? What is that, Kira? I've got a donor card, but I didn't know what the DKMS thing is. I probably should know, but if anyone will tell me. Oh, God. Yeah. Thank you, Shelley. Hey, little Susie. No, it's true, Mary. It's just the donor family. Really, Layla? I didn't know all that. I need to look more into it, really. It's for bone marrow transplant. Okay, I'll have a look into that. If anyone can send me any links, whatever. Did you just say it's for old people? Oh, the Anthony Nolan register where you do the bone marrow in the sample thing. I do think that there should be a lot more work done on getting people onto the donor register, like talking about it more openly, showing the stories. Like, I literally... Hey, can I do... Yeah, of course you can, Sarah Louise. It should be like that. It should be like that where people have to opt out. Really, Smiley, that's good. Louis has had his op. I'm good, Anne-Marie. I'm really good today. I feel really chilled. I feel really mellow. I feel like this app can only really get you if you let it. I feel when you make that decision, like, I'm just going to do what I normally do and I'm just going to be okay with it. I would ask quickly before I start this case that people stop sending me screenshots and people stop sending me so-and-so saying this and so-and-so and saying that. It would really benefit me if people just don't tell me. Obviously, I'm aware of who is saying what. I don't have a sneaky account to go into lives because I don't want to know. I find it much better if I don't know, because these people just change their mind tomorrow. I mean, these people don't know me. They've never been in my lives. And I know people are trying to help, but all these screen recordings and stuff, like, I won't get it from one person. I'll get it from 5 or 6 and I'll be at home with the kids and that. And I'm like just constantly stressed. Exactly, Anne-Marie. What I don't know won't hurt me. This isn't people that have loads of information on me or they're going to literally put stuff out that's going to devastate my life. There's nothing out there. Like, I've made my accounts in my real name, for God's sake. So honestly, if you see anything, like, just you know, if you want to leave the live or you want to stick up and do whatever you need to do for yourself, but don't. Honestly, I'm fine for people just not to tell me and not to know. You know. I just feel in real life, like, honestly, in real life, I wouldn't pay attention to it. In real life, I'd be like, chat shit, get banged. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't be bothered. I've been through too much to kind of be pulled down by people on TikTok who really don't like me. Imagine Hustle coming in my room. How does Hustle know who I am? Yeah, I honestly just don't want to know. Yeah, no, I think say purposeful entry, because I think when you know what people are saying and stuff, you feel constantly under attack, and then I feel like I've got to come live and kind of clear my name on loads of different subjects. But if I don't know, then I don't need to do it, and then I can just stick in my lane, be happy, keep doing what I do, and it just kind of, it's better for me, it's better for you guys. Yeah. All right, I'm ready to start the live now. Thank you, Justice. I like your username. Thank you, Justin Gown. 100%, darling. And no one actually, no one on here actually hates each other, okay? Sometimes, hello, Hustle, nice to meet you. Sometimes when people need to go live, right, and they don't do a certain type of content, they need something to talk about. So they just think about the night before, like, I'm going to go live about this person. Right now, that's me, but it will go. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. So what was I saying to you? Yeah, so what we're going to do tonight, we're going to do the Aileen Wuornos case, and we're going to talk about a bit about if it was unfair justice. Then we're going to talk about the sacrifice and mutilation of Colleen Slemmer, which is a brutal, horrific case, and her killer is one of the only female death row inmates and the last one in her state. And then we're going to talk about Linda Carty, who is the only Brit woman on death row in America. So I picked them all because they're quite standout cases in their own right. Now, I'm going to just preempt this. What did you miss yesterday? What cases did we do yesterday? Oh, we just did Ted Bundy yesterday. We just did kind of a little bit of a deep dive on Ted Bundy. It was really late when I come live. Thank you, Diane. So we just kind of did that. 100% Moondole. Hindu? What? Did you just call me a Hindu for no reason? Miss Baguette. I thought that was really fucking random. I was like, why is she doing that? Thank you, Deb, so much. Thank you, I really appreciate it. I thought Miss Baguette's my friend. I've just made her a mod and she's literally just come in here and attacked me. I was like, why is she guessing my religion? That's the thing with autocorrect. Like whenever you get autocorrect, it's always at the worst possible moment, and then you're like, oh my god, I can't go back on this. Like yesterday, I went into a live and I tried to say, I can't come live. I'm flying kites with the kids, and I put, I'm out. I'm flying the kids, and I was just like, for fuck's sake. That's made me chuckle. It made me chuckle. It's hummus baguette, but you know you're going to be all over the FYP tomorrow. It was one word. It wasn't even a sentence. It was just like, what case did you... Why is it got funny? Oh, it was like, what case did you yesterday, Hindu? I was like, what the fuck? Bon baguette. Oh, I needed that laugh today. Yeah, at least it's not me. I can't afford to make any mistakes right now. Why is there a girl with fruit on her head? All right, let me just get this picture up to start the live. What is the best picture? I don't know if I'll get away with using that picture, you know. Thank you guys for all the heart mates, and thank you for joining the team. Thank you for the roses and Debs. Thank you so much for that train. I was laughing at Miss Baguette at the time, but it was really generous of you. I love the choo-choo. Okay. So we're going to talk about her. It's really hard for me to talk about Aileen Wuornos because she is the woman who had the type of background that you kind of wonder what else she could have turned into. She had no chance. She was so broken. And of course she is still a murderer, and she has still been executed for the crimes that she done. And she actually in the end kind of said, I don't want to do my appeals. I just want to die now. Like I can't say I haven't done it. But we're going to play an interview with her in a bit as well, because I think she's one of those people you really need to hear her words. She was such a broken person, and she'd been let down by every single... I don't think you can see it because I've got a smoothing filter on. But I did it myself. I actually used to brush this time instead of my finger. Thank you, Adele. So we're going to talk about the well-known crime case of Aileen Wuornos, and it is mainly known over here probably from the film Monster, which was a brilliant film. It's absolutely harrowing, and it is really worth watching. I don't like a lot of the true crime films because they can be twisted so much and just made into more of a drama-based version of it. But Monster is really good, and the actress who was it that played her? Someone will say it in a minute. Thank you, Ivy. She just did an amazing job. Oh, Theron. Charlize Theron, is it? Charlize Theron. Thank you. I was gonna say the other guy. What's he called? Louis Theron. I've already got the last name right. So she's often dubbed as America's first female serial killer, and which she's not, but she is dubbed it. She was the one that kind of hit all the papers. And Louis Theroux, I was going to say, it's going to go brilliant in that. Like when you jiggle, I've got to stop. ADHD today is on point. Yeah, she was also... Let me just get myself together. So her crimes were considered to be barbaric. She was branded a monster, and the outcome of her crime still divides opinions of people today. Now, I'm going to tell you this story from kind of a modern day view, kind of in a way where we look for justice in every case, and we kind of look at whether justice can sometimes be wrong. And I'm not saying she didn't do what she did, but she didn't have legal representation that was fair. They didn't bring up a lot of the stuff that should have been brought up in the trial. She kind of lost hope, I believe, when her girlfriend at the time, someone who she really loved, kind of gave evidence against her and was doing like phone traps on her and stuff. You could just see she'd never really had anyone who'd loved her in her whole life. And I tried to be really fair because she did kill 7 men. But there's some cases, even with a serial killer, where you have to look into what happened and why did they turn out that way. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not saying she's a victim. I'm saying she did kill 7 men, but sometimes the culprit is also a victim of her own circumstances. Her murderous spree is unquestionably horrific, but I'd like to tell you kind of a little bit of a deeper part of that case. I'm only just starting the case. Now, Aileen was born on February the 29th of 1956 in Rochester in Michigan. Her young life was notoriously to have taken care of her, and also financial hardship. She grew up in a really broke family. From a young age, she would trade her body for cigarettes, for alcohol, for money to live. And she had learned from pretty much an infant that her only worth was sexual. And it was so, so sad. She was a product of parents who were still in their teens, who didn't want her, who didn't want her brother, who couldn't cope with her, and so passed her to grandparents who would abuse her. Now, she herself would then follow that behaviour and get pregnant in her early teens, and that baby would be put up for an adoption, and then her family would kick her out, forcing her to live in a ripped up tent in the woods nearby. And she could watch her family from where she was living in the tent in warmth, having new clothes and not a nice place to live, but better than where she was, having friends around, getting drunk on the porch, and she would just kind of watch from afar. Now, all of the facts of the matter and everything she went through built her into who she would be. And I think her case is a really good kind of starting point for the conversation on, are you born evil or are you made evil? And I do believe in Aileen's case, she was 100% made evil. I don't know who she would have been had she been loved or given a little bit of affection, compassion. Children should be protected, and quite often they're not. Right, okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview and then we'll go deeper into some of her background and stuff because I think it's really important, but I'm just going to read it the way I've done my notes. So her killing spree would begin in late 1989 and her victims would always be men. She claimed these men had sexually assaulted or attempted to rape her, but her acts were in self-defense. Hey, crayons. Now, one of the things I just want to point out, because everyone's always said she's lied. She's completely lied, that things haven't happened to her and she was just evil. But after she was put to death, it came out that her first victim had actually served 10 years in another state for rape. So it's very likely that at least the first guy triggered something in her and did actually try to do that. And I'm not saying that's a reason to kill someone, but I am saying the court definitely didn't have all the facts and no one defended her properly. Thank you, I love eating crayons. Her job as a sex worker saw her thumb along the Florida highway hitching rides for men while making a living. And when what started as work began being a ruse so that she could get men, lure them into a certain part of the road where no one else was, into woods, and then she would shoot them and rob them. I missed exposure. Who was it on? Which one, Maz? The only exposure I've done on my channel is on Rochelle Medium. I need to put the second part on. Okay, we will hope you're okay. I need to put the second part on YouTube, actually. Her first victim, I'll put up a picture of the victims, actually, just so you can see who they are. I'm just going to make it bigger quickly so you can take in the names. Okay, so the guy I just talked about, oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Mello. So the first guy I just talked about who had actually served time, oh, Polly, thank you, was Richard Mallory. And he had served time before for actually the rape of another woman in another state for 10 years. So these were her victims. Now, I'm just going to leave it like that big for a minute while I discuss the victims because then you can see them. Otherwise, I'm constantly putting it bigger and showing you which one's which, and I can't even read that close up. Oh, I need to make it a bit smaller. Can you see it now? Oh, guys, thank you for the gifts. Can you read it now? So you've got Richard Mallory, David Spears, Charles, I can't read it up there, I'll read it in a minute, Peter, Troy, Charles, and then Walter. Okay, so her first victim was Richard Mallory, whose lifeless body was found in December of 1989 in a woodland. Wuornos shot him multiple times and took off with his money in his car. The murder seemed to set off something in Aileen. Perhaps it had been festering inside of her all along, or perhaps her encounter with Richard, who she claimed had R-worded her brutally, front and back, was triggered by yet another assault, causing her to snap, and she wasn't ever going to be hurt by men again. Hey, Majestic. A horrifying pattern of violence would emerge after that. Now, like I say, we'll get more into her background in a minute, but I'm just giving you an overview of what made her a serial killer. I happen to believe, based off the facts we have, that he had been done for it before, that he very well possibly did that and flicked a switch in her where she was like, no fucking man will ever hurt me again. But she had no choice but to keep going with these men because that was her way of paying, was to pay with her body. And something was just snapping in her every time someone tried to have sex with her, where she was just like, no. We'll get into that, Jamie Lee. So more men would fall victim to the serial killer. David Spears, Charles Cascadon, Peter Sims, who were murdered in quick succession. Their bullet-ridden bodies were found in remote areas, all bearing the unmistakable sign of Wuornos' rage. Her crimes mirrored each other. Once Aileen had robbed her victims of their lives, she'd also take their belongings and vehicles. And this was how she and her girlfriend, Tyria Moore, survived. Now, in July of 1990, the woman's murder spree escalated quickly. She killed Troy Barres, Charles Humphreys within a couple of days of each other. Her last victim was Walter Antonio, whose body was discovered in November of 1990. Now, she's another one who, she killed 7 men over the period of just a year and had, thanks guys for the gifts, had like Bundy she not been caught, she would have continued. She had this rage inside of her, even afterwards, the way she spoke to the judge, the way she spoke to people who interviewed her. She was very clear on, I hate men and I am a danger to men and I will kill the bastard. Like literally the things she shouted even at the judge and stuff, it was just maddening. But you could just see she was someone who she'd been filled full of rage, and then it's like society loaded the gun, but then when she would shoot, everyone would go mad. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. So the killings seemed to occur in a rapid pace. So law enforcement in Florida began a statewide manhunt, doing whatever they had to do in order to apprehend the serial killer responsible for the deaths of at least 7 men. Authorities knew they were dealing with a woman or women, and this fact made the crime headline news. I'm going to show you, there was her and her girlfriend, Tyria, was seen in one of the men's victims, and a sketch was drawn and that was put out in the media, and that was what kind of led to the beginning of the end for them. Yeah, Mrs. Arrow, I do think I do feel more sorry for her because she's a woman in a way, and it does make me feel a little bit bad, but I have to sometimes recognise that prejudice in myself. I certainly do hold women to other accounts just as much as men, like DV, but I think any man in this situation who'd been so broken, so kind of let down by people, I could at least kind of understand a little bit. You know, she kind of talks about it like in the interview I'll play you, where she's like, I shot men, like I didn't do the worst crime in the world, and people make out like I'm a monster. I didn't mutilate anyone, I didn't do this, I would never have hurt a kid, I would never would have done any of those. But you're all looking at me like I'm the worst person you've ever seen. So women killers were sparse, and they still are, especially women serial killers. Aileen Wuornos' capture came on January the 9th, 1991. She initially maintained her innocence, 100% so. She maintained her innocence, but the weight of evidence toppled against her. She was a sloppy killer, didn't do much to get rid of any evidence, and wasn't discreet in the abundance of new stolen cars that she would drive around town in. So she eventually confessed to the murders, explaining they were acts of self-defense to stop her from getting R-word. She was found guilty and she was sentenced to death. Now, the reason I've done it like that quite quickly is because I want to get into some of the stuff now behind it all. Looking at who she was, what happened to her, kind of what she got to this stage. But I do want to 100% address what Sal just said, that 100% each of these 7 men had a family. They were fathers, grandfathers, and they didn't deserve to die. I'm just quite quick to admit to sometimes being like having this unwanted bias where you look at certain cases differently because it's a woman, like honestly. So yeah, so she was either a vigilante or a victim. I do believe, I leached my mum's. I don't know whether if it's on Prime. Someone can have a look for Miss Baguette. She can't get her own Prime. She has to leech off her mum's because she's always buying massive breadsticks every day. Now, I'm sure you'll agree that Aileen's crimes are inexcusable. She killed in cold blood, and even if all the men she had murdered had in fact tried to rape, like she said, murdering them is still barbaric. They had families, kids, and people who loved them, and they're often the forgotten victims in this. But what would cause someone to turn to such horrific murder like this? Aileen had no personal vendetta against each of these victims. In fact, she killed every single one on exactly the same day she met them. The money she got from killing them was paltry when put in perspective with the fact that they paid with their lives for it. After her capture, she was painted in the media in America as the damsel of death, who lusted for men's blood. However, evidence suggests Aileen Wuornos wasn't the devil reincarnate as she was depicted. She was a victim herself who endured a lifetime of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Monster on Netflix totally. Oh, it's not the film. I was thinking, what? I think we might know what it is. Now, Aileen faced a harrowing upbringing. Her parents, Diane Wuornos and Leo Pittman, were teenagers when she was born. I believe her mum was a couple of weeks before her 15th birthday. And that is in no way me saying young parents are not good parents. I've seen recently on here that sometimes the young parents are the better parents than people who think they know better and just aren't. To be fair, I don't judge young parents at all. Now, the pair realised straight away that one of them being under 15 and one of them being about 16, I think it was, they could not offer Aileen a stable home. So Diane gave her baby to her mother, Britta, to take care of. Yeah, creative gifting. I think it takes a village to raise a baby, and I think it's about having the right support around you. So I think a lot of younger mums, like teenage mums, have mums to help and nans to help, and they have a real support network. Sometimes when you get to like my age and you're like on your own, and literally, I can't remember the last time anyone babysat my kids, asked to babysit my kids, asked to spend time with my kids, in like family wise. So I think people take for granted, like, oh, she's in her 30s, she'll be fine. I just think sometimes it does take like generations of a family to raise a baby, like to all put in to make like the best out of the bad situation, really. So shortly after Aileen's biological dad was sent to jail, he was sent to jail for horrific essay against children. He actually R-worded a 7-year-old girl. And Diane had little to do with her daughter. You don't get that? Am I making it up? The youngster had to rely on Laurie and Britta Wuornos, her grandfather and grandma, who were abusive to their granddaughter from pretty much very early on. Laurie was known to be violent, and Laurie's her grandfather's name. Neighbours would see the man hitting Aileen with a belt through the living room window. His frequent beatings were stopped by Britta, who simply turned a blind eye. So for you in here, can you do a poll? And I just want people to be really, really honest. If sometimes you have more sympathy for a female killer than a male killer, or let's say a female criminal than a male criminal. I just want to say killer. So I just want to see if people are being open about their bias, because I am 100% open about the bias I have sometimes. Like, if she was a man, would I look so deeply into her background and be like, oh my God, that was terrible, that was terrible. So I just want people to answer just like yes or no, and just kind of see, because I think sometimes it's really interesting to address a bias. So neighbours would see Laurie, the grandfather, hitting Aileen through the window with a belt really hard, and his frequent beatings of her would get more and more serious the older she got. And Britta, the grandmother, would simply leave the house and go and sit outside, have a cigarette, and ignore what was going on inside the house to her granddaughter. Her grandmother was cold and distant, offering no love at all to the young girl who she saw as her daughter's biggest disappointment. And so she ran a strict home and pretty much only relied on Aileen to help with the housework, but would never cuddle her, tell her that she loved her, or make a fuss out of her. By the age of 9, Aileen figured out she could earn companionship, money, and friends by offering herself to the neighbourhood boys at 9. It's been suggested that many of the boys in the area lost their virginity to Aileen, and even her own brother Keith actually lost his virginity to his sister. Now, this is absolutely terrible. Now, unfortunately, you would think with her and Keith, her brother, which I don't know if I mentioned, she had a brother called Keith, should have been the only people in the world that had each other's backs through everything they'd been through. But it seemed that he also would use his sister in that way. And it is absolutely horrific. And anyone who's triggered by that, I'm absolutely sorry. This is a crime live, and it's always going to be a little bit difficult, the discussions we have. Now, of course, it was only a matter of time before Aileen actually fell pregnant herself. This is Aileen as a little girl. So this is her when she was about 5 years of age. And she was pregnant by the age of 14. She was forced to hand her baby over for adoption, and her mental state, which has constantly been chipped away at since birth, was in ruins. Now, Aileen described, hey Coco, you're right. I was going to say Coco, that Aileen had found out she was pregnant, and the way she talks about it, it's one of the only things I've heard her talk about, which is really, really sensitively, like she just literally drops an act. She thought when she had this, was going to have this baby, that she finally had something of her own, and she finally had something to love her and that she could love. So 57% said yes, they're often more sympathetic towards female perpetrators of crime, especially killers. That's really interesting. None of us should have the bias, but I think we have to admit sometimes there's certain issues that we do have a bias on, and we all pretend to be perfect and go, no, I'm the least this in the world, I'm the least that. But there are certain things that come into our head, whether it be from childhood, the area we live in, the type of people we live around. Like, everyone definitely has that. Thank you, Coco. Now, this losing the baby was the last bit of good kind of last bit of bad news kind of she could take. She thought she was going to have her own family. All the things that she had stripped away from her as a kid, she thought she was going to get in this baby. She was going to love it. It was going to be hers. And they took it away from her. She had no choice. Now, a year later, her grandparents used that baby as an excuse to kick her out of the house and tell her that she'd no longer be welcome. They would call her horrific names, slag, slut, all of that, say she'd never be welcome in their home. And it was at this point she began to provide for herself food, water, cigarettes, everything by working as a sex worker. She was 14 years of age. Now, as you can imagine, this placed a young girl who had nowhere to live in the most grave of danger every single day. She was beaten, exploited, raped. She was hurt. She was literally trying to sleep in a tent where people would come and drag her out of it and do whatever they wanted to her. She was never protected. There's times when she talked about having things happen and thinking, why is no one coming to help? I can see my grandparents' house. I know where my grandparents, my brothers are, but nobody ever came. Now, at this point, oh, thank you so much, Keiko. I do watch you do your makeup sometimes. I'm so bad at doing mine. I sometimes watch, I'm just like, I couldn't do that. You lose me at one point and then I'm just like, nah, I can't. It got to the stage where she was beaten and abused so much that it was just every day for her. It wasn't something she even complained about, thought differently about. It was just life. This is a picture of her with her grandparents. So this is her Britta, and this is Laurie with her. And I think it's really important to look at her here because she could be anyone's kid at this point. And something's happened to break her emotionally so badly that instead of going to sell herself, she could easily take the life just for $5-10. And I think it's really important to notice that she didn't start like this way. She wasn't born a monster. She was created. Now, thank you, Elise. As she got older, she began running into trouble with the law. She was arrested. She would often fight. She would have drunken brawls, commit theft, and she would become a nuisance when intoxicated. Now, people in her local area, when she'd go into the bars, she'd go into like the most like bedraggled bars ever, and she was a right bar fighter, and she'd get a little bit drunk. Everyone was scared of her. She was mouthy. She was aggressive. She couldn't stand a man ever telling her, putting her in a place. She would literally kick right off. And her run-ins with some police officers only reinforced her mistrust of men. Now, she had claimed later on that some of those police officers had raped her as well, and they had just literally took her to one side and then would do horrific things. And she was kind of never believed because she was like the town drunk. As you can imagine, all of this combined together is bound to create an individual with psychological issues. Aileen was plagued with an innate suspicion of people, and she would become angry very easily, especially when drunk. Her trauma of her childhood and young adulthood was never addressed. She never had any help. She never had anyone say, I believe you. She never had anyone step up to the plate and show her love. Hey, I'm good, thank you. How are you, Shine Smile? what Shine's mine? I wanted to call you Shine Smile then. She literally never for a day in her life ever felt like she was loved or she was equal in a relationship. I don't know why, but I don't know if anyone feels this way. Like, if you watch Monster or you just know about the story in general, Aileen, when her girlfriend turned on her in the courtroom, I hated her girlfriend more than I hated Aileen, because I was like, why did you turn on her now? Like, why did not one person stand by her? You knew she was murdering, you took half the money and you literally sold her down a river. And when I saw her face, when she realised in that police interview that Tyria had allowed them to record those tapes and she had literally signed her death warrant, the look on her face, I was just like, why did you have to be the one person just not to stand by her? Why'd have those phone calls and be like, I love you, baby, and get all this stuff out of her? I was just so angry. Yeah, she just agreed to help police and get some kind of, thank you for subscribing. Do I know your name? Is it just heart, heart, heart? I wanted to thank you, but I can't see an actual name. Can you say hi in the chat so I can say thank you? Or is it just 3 pink hearts? I've literally just bruised all my legs, punching my legs saying that. No. Leanne, thank you, Leanne. I only saw the pink hearts at the top. Thank you so much, Leanne. So yeah, she never got any help. She never had any help for any of the abuse she went through. None of the times that she was imprisoned, none of the times she was arrested, did anyone try and get her any help at all. Now, the unfairness of her life, the unjust behaviour of it, the abusers, and there was a great deal of them, and none of them were ever punished for the things they'd done to her as a child. That was something that ate at Aileen every single day. She had tried to make reports before, they were ignored, and she just lived with this hatred. And every single person who had let her down had been male. So she'd go to police officers, they wouldn't believe her, they wouldn't file reports. She'd lost her son because of her grandfather. She was beaten by her grandfather. It's rumoured that she was abused from the time she was in nappies by some of her grandparents' friends. Essayed, I should make it quite clear. And it's on what website, Chrissy boy? It was just so soul destroying that people were doing that. Like, no one, she didn't get any warning in any way at all. Now, I do think that if it happened now, her case would have been dealt with a lot differently, because we're so aware now of mental health, struggles, all these different things. But back then, nothing was taken into consideration. She had a really bad lawyer. No one bothered to enter any kind of defence for her. Her PTSD was never addressed, the things she'd been through, the past trauma. Triple X, we're doing the case of Aileen Wuornos. Give me a second. I just believe that now, 100% purposeful. I believe now there would have been a consideration of her mental health and her past. We see all the time now where people put into their mitigating factors. Oh, but she has borderline personality disorder, she has ADHD, she had a sad childhood, she was in care, all those different things, but nothing was considered back then. Her PTSD, which was never dealt with, which is perhaps why her mental health took such a drastic nosedive while she was behind bars as well. We're getting to that part, Gemma. We have to do it in order, unfortunately. Hey, Cord. As the years went by in jail, she changed her story. She would accuse the correction officers of trying to poison her. Her life had fallen apart. She just wasn't doing well. There was a point where she thought that the prison officers were trying to use telepathic torture techniques on her to destroy her mind. She said the officers were cruel to her. She said that sexual things had happened to her. And in the end, her mind was eating her alive so much that she did a 360 and said, cancel all of my defense story, cancel all my appeals, put me to death. Just do it. I can't live like this anymore. I'm trapped in my own head. I can't do this. Now, Carla Homolka, she got away with murder again and again, man. I've done her case before, Miss Jamie Kelly, and literally she is absolutely disgusting. I will do that case at some stage again. Did he get the death penalty? I can't remember now if he got life or the death penalty, because I could do it again this week if it's a death penalty case. So when she went to prison, first of all, she was kind of like, yes, I've done it. She definitely didn't want Tyria, her girlfriend, to be blamed at all. So she kept saying to the police, I will confess completely if you leave Tyria out of this. It was the only person she'd ever loved in her life. Hey, Scottish lass. So when it came back that Tyria agreed to work with the police and phone tap her to get her to confess to these murders, it broke her last bit of hope. And I believe from that point, she just went into this paranoid spin. Even her girlfriend, the person she'd loved the most, the person she'd killed these men for, who I do believe encouraged her behind the scenes to get these cars, to get this money. She knew that her girlfriend was pimping herself out in order to pay for Tyria's drug habit and her beer and everything else. And she fully encouraged her. I've got more cases coming, Ali. She definitely did. Oh, of course. Thanks, Trace. She definitely did encourage her and have a big part of it. And I think the fact that Aileen stood on business and was like, I did it all. Tyria didn't know, she had nothing to do with it. And then Tyria was the one that gave all that evidence against her. I believe it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It just switched everything in her. Now, she claimed, so when she decided to stop her appeal and she no longer wanted to get onto life from death row, from life behind bars, she all of a sudden switched and she was like coming out saying, yep, I was never raped. I killed them in cold blood. I killed them for money. I'd do it again. She was just such in a hurry. She was just like, kill me now. What's there for me to keep me going? She said she killed them because she was everything people thought she was. She was the damsel of death. Not surprisingly, this version of events was received as being the truth with much more ease than the version she told before, in which she was partly a victim. Thank you, Mary. If Aileen had been captured for these crimes today, as society would be less inclined to automatically call someone the devil. Thank you, Rosebud. Rosebud. Of course, there are crimes where people are purely evil and act as such, but for a criminal as complex as Aileen, we would want to know why these days and what went wrong, and kind of we'd want to look more into what made her who she. I know, I just thought she was called Rosebud, and I went, hello, Rosebush. And I think back then, it was kind of like sticker behind bars. She was definitely rough around the edges, you know. She'd been through so much. She wasn't easy to even interview. She was so kind of like removed from it because she didn't trust anyone, especially not men. So when you lock a woman like that in a room with two men who are questioning you, she's going to be like a trapped cat. She's going to be like clawing to get out of there. It's going to be so horrible for her and horrendous. And she didn't come across very well. But nowadays, we would take it under consideration and get her to be questioned by females. Do you know what I mean? We would have allowed for this PTSD and all these things. And I do believe in today's time, she would have got life behind bars. She wouldn't have got the death penalty. Look at Chris Watts. He didn't get the death penalty because we take into consideration so much more. And her family asked for him not to get the death penalty in the Chris Watts case. But the state were happy with that. But with Aileen Wuornos, she was never she wasn't like evaluated. They didn't really look into it too much. They were just kind of like, she's saying she's evil, so she's evil. She definitely was. She was definitely had some kind of wires inside her that just didn't connect anymore because she'd never, you know, kids don't learn love unless you show them love. The first 3 years of your life, you're learning so much about human empathy, about how to act, about interconnections in families and stuff. And she didn't really have that chance to have that. Now, back in the 80s, in the late 80s when this happened as well, people who were sex workers were judged so harshly. They were throwaway people. People didn't get that what we, like some nice people like myself get now, is that even if you're murdered and you're an addict or you're a sex worker, you're still got a family and you're a broken person, but you still, something led you to what you're doing now and you still count. Back then it was kind of like really shunned, like, ugh. And they couldn't understand that she was doing that for survival because otherwise she'd be dead by now, because her family weren't providing or looking after her. From 14, it was the only way for her to eat. Now, Aileen's trial also was full of unfair due process for her. They didn't bring up her past trauma. They didn't mention her abusive upbringing. And despite a wealth of witnesses, they never broached the possibility of her having any mental health struggles. Her defence team was widely criticised for its inadequacy, failing to present a robust case that considered her traumatic upbringing and possible mental health struggles. The prosecution emphasised her crimes without delving into the background of her and who she was. I just want to go forward to... I just want to talk a little bit about the day that she died. Let me just wait for this to load. So I'm just going to read this from an article from the Herald Tribune, which is Aileen Wuornos executed by lethal injection. So it says, a hitchhiking prostitute was killed. At least 6 men along Florida's highways was executed by injection Wednesday after dropping her legal appeals. Serial killer Aileen Wuornos was known as a damsel of death, and she became the 10th woman executed in the United States and the 2nd woman to be killed in Florida since the death penalty resumed in 1976. Oklahoma leads the nation in the number of women executed with 3, but Texas has also executed 2. When the curtains of the death chamber opened at 9:29 a.m., Wuornos lifted her head and looked at the 29 witnesses with a surprised expression on her face before making her final statement. Now, when I read you her final statement that she made to the witnesses watching her being executed, you will understand how far her mind had digressed. She said, I'd like to say I'm sailing with the Rock, and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus, June the 6th like the movie, big mothership and all, I'll be back. And that was her final statement. Now, I have to note that when she talks about I'll be sailing with the Rock, she doesn't mean the actor. The Rock is a biblical reference to Jesus. And I just want to, because I literally, when I read that, I thought, how did she know the Rock back in 1990? I thought, how long has he been around? At 9:30 a.m, the injection was administered. Lisa, stop it, because I always can be fine until you guys see your little laughing faces. At 9:30 a.m, the injection was administered into her right arm. About 2 minutes later, she stopped moving and was pronounced dead at 9:47 a.m. Wuornos, who spent 10 years on Florida death row, terrorised Central Florida in 1980 and 1990, killing at least 6 middle-aged men. It's believed to be 7, but there's 6 they can prove have been found. I was just thinking, yeah, but how long has he been famous for, man? I'm joking. Wuornos' death warrant was for her first murder victim, Richard Mallory, who was a Clearwater electronics shop owner whose body was found in 1989. Her final meal, she refused to eat anything and said, just get me a cup of coffee. And that was the last thing that she had. What was I going to say? Yeah, there was a lot of opposition to putting her to death. I mean, literally, one of the director of the Florida Alternative to the Death Penalty said it's a shameful day for law in the United States when we're killing a woman who's so vulnerable. One of the victim's family, whose dad was called Charles Dick Humphreys, said, I'm glad it's over. It was an easy death. It was a little bit too easy for her. I think she should have suffered a little bit more. She was off her rocker. Yeah. Oh, yeah, can you imagine it wasn't like Starbucks or something and you're like, what the fuck is this? I would be fuming if it wasn't like a latte or something.